Oh, dearly friends, this is Dilse with Ratnam coming to you with fresh news on LIC initial public offering, LIC IPO, LIC IPO. LIC IPO, the listing gains. Oh, everybody is dreaming of listing gains because it may be subscribed to the extent of 80 times, 120 times, because IRCTC was subscribed heavily. IRCTC heavily subscribed. So why not LIC? The Big Bang LIC is also likely to be subscribed overwhelmingly. It may be subscribed. Oh, but what is the point? Why are you worried? Everything is okay. IRCTC, okay. After that, after IRCTC, after IRCTC, after IRCTC, what we can see after IRCTC? LIC. How many times? We projected 80 times in my earlier episode. Now I am projecting it to 120 times. What is wrong? Why not 120 times? Why not 120 times when IRCT also made such heavy subscriptions? But the timing, the two big timings set this time in the world, and yesterday I told you the timings are like this. The timings which you and I cannot ignore, not only you and I, even the foreign institutional investors. The foreign institutional investors, people from Australia, Canada, Japan, US, and one more country. Now they are involved in war. Great Britain, United States, Canada, at least take these three countries. And Putin said, by May 10th, deadline for Ukraine war. It must be finished, he says, by 10th. There must be his control, his flag in Ukraine. So till 10th, all people are overwhelmingly involved and obsessively interested and obsessively directed and motivated by the war. And May 12th is the date by which you will have to definitely roll out this LIC IPO. and May 12th. What if you do not roll LIC IPO by May 12th? The rollout deadline, LIC rollout, IPO rollout deadline. Yesterday we discussed about Dead Sea, but today we are discussing about deadline of LIC IPO, because if it is not done before May 12th or May 10th, the DHRP has to be applied afresh with SEBI, and fresh notification has to be, approval is to be taken, including the quarterly results up to December 22, December 2021. So there is a hurry, and many big minds are working on this since March, going to Canada, Australia, Great Britain and all the countries, and preparing the foreign institutional investors to become anchor investors, to invest money, to see that the LIC IPO is coming out victoriously, triumphantly, and with a lot of listing gains and lot of fanfare and happiness. Happiness for individuals, happiness for the policyholders, happiness for the government for having achieved the target of the disinvestment project and gaining money for the coffers of Indian treasury to the extent of 65,000 crores. That is possible only if it is done in at least the May first week. So, in all likelihood, we may see the LIC IPO between 26th April to at least 8th of May, or even before. Now it is 22 already, so by 25th, because the IPO will be published in newspapers for 3 days. Later it will be listed in the exchanges within 10 or 12 days, and after that the amount will be locked in for both the investors, retail investors and institutional investors, for a period of 3 months and 1 year, if everything goes well. And if the so-called so busily worked out Ukrainian war is eased out happily, respecting the neighbor countries, which will, so that it is not leading into a nuclear holocaust. So the LIC as it is should not see the nuclear holocaust disturbing that. It cannot disturb nuclear holocaust. If there is no nuclear holocaust, we can see and understand for good, and anticipating everything to be good, let us feel that the LIC IPO is coming in the last week of April, to be completed by the first week of May. These are the introductory words. So, IRCTC was heavily subscribed. So, LIC IPO, there is tons of message and matter declaring LIC IPO. LIC IPO gains fizzle out in the long term. You can focus this. Gains fizzle out in the long term. So we should not see with a short-sighted eye. We should see with a broad eye and understand how the IPO will benefit the government as well as people at large. So according to this primedatabase.com, gains fizzle out in the long term. So 2017, 36 issues were taken up in the IPO and the total issue size was of 67,147 crore, out of 36 issues, only 25 saw listed gains. The rest 11 gone with the wind. Out of these 25, again 9 issues posted positive returns in the next 9 months, and till date only 17. Number of stocks where listing gains were above 50% is 6, below 50% is 15. So it was in the 2017 36 issues, 2018 24 issues, 2019 16 issues, 2020 15 issues, 2021 63 issues were resulting the total size of 1,18,722 crore, a whopping size with 45 issues showing gains on the listed day. When today, now in April, by April, it is 2022, I think we have done some IPOs, the number will be shown later, but it is 2022, now it is April. So the LIC IPO alone is likely to bring about 65,000 crores to the government, and the size will be, as shown earlier, it will be some 13 lakh crore and even more as the EV value continues to be calculated. So in the long run, necessarily the LIC 22 will give a good result and it will come out victoriously, triumphantly done. But the main obstacle for this is the Ukrainian war. So what if we do not count the Ukrainian war and do it immediately? Why don't we do it immediately without counting this Ukrainian war? Why should we count it? Because the foreign institutional investors are involved in the war. Even Putin has directed and issued a mandate that all the Russian investors should come out of the global markets. Why this mandate? Is he going to blast all the global stock exchanges? What if he puts the Sarmat, the new missile into action and destroys the English countries? And Canada is now sending the supersized missiles to Ukraine, and Putin is preparing Sarmat. So, see the contradicting situation. The person Canada, the country Canada, is involved in the war by sending the super missiles of heavy size for the support of Ukraine, and Putin has directed his rich people to come away from the international markets with payouts of their investments. So there will be a fight, and the IPO is to be subscribed by Canada, UK, US and Japan and one more country, and it must be rolled out now. So if it is not rolled out by May 12th, things will be different. So such is the entanglement which brings great problem, and they say the market should not be choppy. The market should not be choppy. The market should be favorable, and if it is not favorable, what we should do? What we should do if the market is not favorable? The market is showing some position in the morning, and the afternoon it will be a different position. So stocks rebound, but markets to stay choppy. Stocks rebound, but markets to stay choppy. And here we read, firms and sectors that saw heavy selling in recent days bounced back. Volatility may continue till global uncertainties settle. A pullback rally in the global markets lifted sentiments as benchmark indices traded higher. So they traded higher, again came back, and the results are very, very different. And the results are like this. The results are like this. Late hour selling sinks Sensex by 703 points. Nifty ends below 17,000. The market is choppy, but the IPO is to be necessarily rolled out. So investors, get ready. The war may ease out, or a nuclear holocaust may take place, but with a hope that it will ease out, we have to invest in the IPO, because we are all optimistic. So all the policy holders who have made their demat accounts ready and kept themselves ready, everything that has been done by 13/2/22 would be the last date for policies which were already executed for the policy holders. So policy holders, they can test their luck also. Center may expand size of LIC share sale. The government may sell up to 6.5 of LIC depending on investor interest. So in this war-torn world, LIC investor interest is a great subject. What is the interest of the investors? Whether they will be interested in this or not, we have to see, and let us hope everything goes well. So I read it from here. While the government can sell as much as 7.5% of LIC, it may decide to sell only between 5.5% and 6.5% depending on the investor interest. I read again. While the government can sell as much as 7.5% of LIC, it may decide to sell only between 5.5% and 6.5% depending on investor interest. The government will have to file revised share sale documents if it wants to sell more than 7.5%. So up to 7% the government is having free hand, and it can directly offer any share between 5.5 to 7.5 on its own free will. Merchant bankers have been talking to investors. A final call will be taken based on the interest shown by pension funds, sovereign funds and other investors, and the anchor book prepared by the bankers. As talks are still going on. Discussions on increasing the IPO size to more than 5% have begun after evaluating the situation arising from the Russian-Ukraine war and its impact on the stock markets. So stock markets, they are choppy in the morning and stable in the evening, and next day it is something again different. This is international markets, and Putin has directed Russian investors to draw back their money from all the stock exchanges, and even mandated them necessarily. This shows his mind that he may put something on a different country and bring a nuclear holocaust. Any doubt? Is there a possibility? Is it ruled out? It is not ruled out. Maybe it may happen. So markets are like that. The success of LIC's IPO is crucial for the government to meet its asset sales goal, which has been kept at a conservative 65,000 crore for the current fiscal, lower than the revised 78,000 crore for the previous fiscal. However, the government could meet less than 17% of the revised target, as the Russian invasion of Ukraine and the and the ensuing volatility in stock markets forced it to postpone the LIC share sale to this fiscal year. So it is agreed and shown here that the Ukraine war has pushed it up to March, and now April, don't know what will happen in May. It must be rolled out between April, in the last week of April and the first week of May, and the deadline for Russian flag is May 10th as declared by Putin, the mighty emperor, and May 12th is the last date by which our government can roll out LIC without seeking any fresh approval from SEBI. Volatility has reduced to some extent, and we also have the outer window of 12th May. The outer window of 12th May and discussions with investors should materialize before that date. Discussions with investors should materialize before that date. The IPO may also be pushed back further by 2 to 3 weeks, late April or 6. Or reach out to the government and the existing investors who would come in during the IPO and post its mega listing, which is expected in mid-March, according to the chairman, whose term was recently extended by a year. No, this is not that one. This is not that one. This is here. Yeah, here. This is page 6 and one more page 6. Yeah. Central government likely to expand the size of LIC public offering even early May, as the government expects the volatility in the stock markets to ease. Delaying the IPO beyond 12th May will, however, mean that the government will have to include December quarter financials for LIC and refile the prospectus, which will delay the IPO by 2 to 3 months, a situation that it wants to avoid. So if it wants to avoid, it must roll out in the last week of April. So get prepared. Do not know what happens, but still the position I am bringing out to you for your alertness and readiness. Tuhin Kanta Pandey, the Secretary for the Department of Investment and Public Asset Management, DIPAM, did last month at the Mint Investment Summit 22 that here is a strong investor. There is a strong investor interest in the state and company's offer, but the center will proceed with the IPO only when it is confident of successfully listing the insurer. It must successfully list the insurer, not unsuccessful bid. See the conditions, everything changes, days roll out. The situation, the global situation is now in the hands of Putin. He should respect his neighbor. He has brought about an unprovoked war for his own benefit. He wanted his neighbor to submit to him and buffer all his needs. And we are seeing the result. All the governments throughout the world are unable to step forward. No more forward steps. The stock markets are upright. Investors are drawing back their funds. Delaying the IPO beyond May 12th, delaying the IPO beyond 12th May will mean the government will have to include December quarter financials for LIC and refile the prospectus. Deepam has been holding roadshows with sovereign wealth funds, alternative investment funds, pension funds, mutual funds, and new investors across markets, including the US, UK, Canada, Australia, and Japan, showing interest in the IPO. You can see here the big countries which are already involved in this war one way or the other, either direct or indirect. US, UK, Canada, Australia, and Japan. These three are directly involved. First US, UK, and Canada. However, the exclusion of several Russian banks and entities from the SWIFT payment system due to the sanctions has become a major concern for the investors. Indian fund managers were also against the IPO being launched in March. The IPO will be the largest in India with millions of retail investors expected to invest, a third official said. So, if the post-listing share price faces a lot of volatility due to the geopolitical situation, it may lead to retail investors getting disappointed. The government would want to avoid such situation. A key point I am reading again, you please stay with me and be with me. The IPO will be the largest in India with millions of retail investors expected to invest. If the post-listing share price faces a lot of volatility due to the geopolitical situation, it may lead to retail investors getting disappointed. Retail investors have invested their confidence in the Indian stock markets and are protecting them from the volatility that could arise from the fund flows of foreign portfolio investors into and out of the country, said Sitharaman in Lok Sabha on Monday. So, Retail investors are playing a role. They want to bring things good. So this is the chart, and this is 2022 and LIC IPO and Ukraine war. What if the war continues? Initially, Putin thought the war would be an easy thing. It can be just going and coming back. Going and putting Russian flag and coming back, as they did in Crimea, where there was no resistance at all. But today, even after completing 55 days, the small war now turned into a world war, turning into a nuclear war. Why don't they respect each other, or Putin start respecting his neighbor and behaving amicably? Does he want to rule the whole world? Live and let live. Live and let live. The whole globe is now looking at Putin for survival of its plans, its governments, and the humanity as itself is now on the verge of annihilation, which must be carefully eased out, and we must roll out our LIC IPO. So again we come to these foreign funds. AMC to pump 18,000 crore into LIC IPO. 18,000 funds is just pumped in through foreign funds and asset management companies to pump 80,000 crore into LIC IPO. So the main funding companies are like this, and they are watching carefully. Typically, such mutual fund schemes aim to gain from the dividends of the state-run firms such as LICs dole out to shareholders regularly, which helps mutual fund unit holders to see steady growth in their investment. So if the LIC is functioning well, the mutual funds will also show dividends for their investors. According to the people cited above, the country's top fund houses including HDFC Asset Management Company, ICICI Prudential Asset Management Company, SBI Mutual Fund, Franklin Templeton Asset Management Company Limited and Nippon Life Management Company Limited have evinced interest in becoming anchor investors after the government decided to make the public offer more lucrative by revising the listing valuation at 2 times the embedded value of LIC rather than the industry practice of 3 times the embedded value at the time of listing shares. So these are the top 5 funding houses. Please focus on this. These are the top 5 funding houses. HDFC, ICICI, SBI, Franklin Templeton, Nippon Life Insurance, they have evinced interest to become the anchor investors and waiting for the open bid. Together, these 5 fund houses manage 19 trillion in the assets as of the March quarter, which is half of the industry's total asset under management. The government decided to revise the cutoff price valuation of LIC downwards to around 11 trillion from its initially planned valuation of around 16 trillion to lure more investors. The downwards revision in LIC's market valuation will mean a lower price band for investors in the IPO LIC. The bankers have estimated the state insurer's EV embedded value at rupees 5.39 trillion while filing the draft red herring prospectus with the Securities and Exchange Board of India in February. Investment bankers will now initiate the price discovery process for LIC based on the government's recent change in valuation expectations. The price band of LIC will be set for both anchor and retail investors, keeping in mind that the market value of LIC at the cutoff price is within the two times LIC's embedded value of 5.39 trillion. So everything was made to see the investment and LIC IPO a lucrative one. But the war has loomed large. Now the war is standing like a giant. If you close the door, the giant is inside. If you open the door, the giant will come out. So you can neither close the door nor open the door. Only keep the door shut and stay outside, waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting till May 10th, or the LIC IPO must be rolled out in the third week of April. LIC, being a government owned company, will be given 5 years to comply with the minimum public shareholding target of 25%. The discussion is fluid in terms of the amount of stake of the government will divest and the timing of the IPO in April or May. While the IPO has been delayed due to market volatility stemming from Russia invasion of Ukraine, the government wants to ensure that any further delay does not dampen investor demand. Any further delay does not dampen the investor demand. To avoid that, the government is willing to leave more money on table for investors and has acted promptly on allowing 20% foreign investment in LIC. So on the direct route, 20% is also approved. Everything is done. but the giant is standing at the door. The giant, we cannot open the door, neither can we shut the door. Do one thing, the status quo as it is. %% of LIC through the automatic route. There is huge demand from the overseas pension funds due to the nature of long gestation businesses of life insurers and the long-term nature of the investment made by pension fund managers. In the absence of 20% of foreign investment limit under the automatic route, it would have been very difficult for LIC or any such company to attract foreign pension fund managers, and the foreign ownership limit would have gotten fast exhausted, and getting a special approval for additional investment by foreign funds would have been time consuming. So that was overcome. So the government cabinet has approved 20% direct route. However, all investors, including the foreign ones coming in as anchor investors in the LIC IPO, may be subject to a lock-in period of 1 year. The amendment may lead to renewed interest from foreign investors to buy LIC shares, which in turn may result in better subscription figures for IPO. So the entire country must now pray and believe that the tensions, geopolitical tensions, are eased out, and market volatility is now ended and stable. The markets are stable, things are stable, and the markets are volatile. Sometimes things take different shapes. So this is also the kind of allotment. Qualified institutional investors, 50%, out of which 60% of this to anchor investors, 1/3 of that to mutual funds, automatic route 20%, foreign institutional investors and pension funds are seeking interestedly. Let us all live to see the LIC rolled out for the betterment of country as well as our own selves. So now the LIC plans to digital platform to take private peers. So LIC already has digital presence. However, not even 1% of its sales happen through website. So the new enters, the Tata, AXA and other all people are they have entered in this digital age, and everything they do is digital. LIC was started in the document stages, and the document stages are still continuing, and it may take some more time. However, because of the IPO, the digital transformation has been expedited and done more rigorously. However, that will be completed, that will be okay. But the question is the war. Stocks rebound, but markets stay choppy. Foreign institutional investors are pumping out funds in large quantities, while support from the DIIs is domestic institutional investors, that is retail investors. is helping to partially balance the pressure. However, caution prevails too. Foreign institutional investors are withdrawing funds in large quantities, while support from domestic institutional investors helps the market partially balance the pressure. Foreign portfolio investors remain net sellers. Foreign portfolio investors remain net sellers, having sold 1.2 trillion worth shares this year. Provisional figures suggested they sold 3,009.26 crore worth of equity on Wednesday. Domestic institutional investors, though, are supporting well, having bought 1.2 trillion of equity till 19th April. The spike in volatility after the declines of the last 6 weeks is also causing some discomfort among the bulls. The spike in volatility after the declines of the last 6 weeks. Weak earnings reports by some heavyweights, rising bond yields, multi-year peak inflation, and current developments in the Ukraine warfare are keeping investors cautious and uncertain. Keeping investors cautious and uncertain. So this is the main thing which we need to understand in this IPO. Keeping investors cautious and uncertain. Cautious and uncertain, both. Keeping the investors cautious and uncertain. So understand, friends, how the IPO is going to flourish and bring happiness to us, and let's hope it's all for our good. So on today's paper we have LIC puts up robust show ahead of IPO. Life Insurance Corporation of first year premium collection, a key metric, rose to 7.9 to 1.98 trillion for the year ended 31st March. Ready to brave choppy markets to take the company public. Ready to brave choppy markets to take the company ready to brave choppy markets to take the company public. Now it must boldly enter into the public. India's largest insurers ended last fiscal with market share of 63.25%, lower than the previous year. However, in March, the company's premium collections grew 51% to 42,319.22 crore, from a year earlier, garnering a market share of 71%. Robust premium collections, particularly in March, will be a shot in the arm for the government as it prepares to sell shares of the insurance behemoth to the public for the first time. A high-level committee is expected to meet this week to finalize the timing and size of the initial share sale, the government officials said. On page 6. So this all went ahead. Anchor investors commit rupees 18,000 crore to LIC share sale. So soon the high power committee will decide the date and the LIC IPO will be rolled out for the welfare of all our Indians and Government of India. Let us all hope for the best amidst the turmoil of world war, amidst the turmoil of Ukrainian war, and disturbing the total geopolitical conditions and conditions of the stock markets. So let's hope the market momentum would definitely favor us and the big bang LIC would give a big bang for our betterment. With this, I wrap up the LIC IPO edition and episode for today, and hopefully we would bring one more episode if the IPO is coming with its price value, price band and everything, and we will give yet another episode on this. Till such time, this is Dilse with Ratnam signing off. Bye.